hola, and marhaba, and welcome back to another episode of Gen Z AMIGAS weekly podcast. I'm your host, Maha and today we will be exploring the deep dive into the 20s. Specifically, we're talking about this in-between space we're feeling in our second year of university, or like one of our guests, they are already working. So, and there's this question, are we supposed to be living our best life, traveling the world, or are we meant to be getting directly into our 9-to-5 job, looking for internships? And to unpack this dilemma today, I'm joined by three of my amigas, Leen and Tala Dahmash, and Nichole Cervantes.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us on Gen Z Amigas podcast. Here's the thing, we're only in our second year of university. We're only 20, it should feel early in a way, but somehow there's already this pressure to have it all figured out. And I'm sure you guys could maybe agree. So, Leen, I want to start with you. Do you ever feel like second year is too early to think about our future, but at the same time, kind of we're already too late, behind in a way?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I don't think it's too early to start thinking about your future because I feel like it's very competitive right now, especially like applying for internships and getting jobs. And I feel like there's a big focus on those two things specifically right now. And especially because we're told that in our third year, our internship is like the most important thing. Our internships are the most important thing for us in our third year. And they're like the main factor that helps us get jobs once we've graduated. But I do feel like maybe there needs to be a bit of a diversion away from that's such a prioritizing factor. And I feel like maybe that people should be a bit more understanding of the fact that people get into this like later and they start understanding what they're supposed to be doing later, especially because we're young. I feel like we should be getting other experiences, such as like traveling, enjoying time with our friends, and really enjoying our summer as well.
Yeah, thank you. And Tala, I mean, kind of the same question that I want to go to, but do you ever feel kind of torn between, exploring the world? There's a term, finding yourself, and the other side of that kind of torn thing is like to get ahead professionally, like Leen was saying, getting internships, especially when people around us in university, they're getting internships, they're networking, they're getting their CV together. So do you also feel that, divide between the two?
Yeah, 100%. There's a big like dilemma, especially because a lot of like people, adults ask like, oh, do you know what you're gonna do after university, or what's your path? And how Leen said, there's like a lot of pressure between like competition for internships and everything like that. But then also it's very important to remember that like at least people told me before I went to university, like it's the best days of your life, like enjoy, have fun. So I think it's also important to do like fun experiences and travel and like even just make friendships and different relationships, because they also are different experiences that can also shape your life in different ways that internships can. So I think they're both very important to think about now.
Thank you. And Nichole, I think you bring a different perspective today, as you are already in the corporate world with a full-time job, whereas we are full-time students. So I wanted to ask you, do you, your opinion on it, and do you ever feel like, oh, maybe I should go and explore something different, whether it's, professionally or something that you want to do more for yourself? So what is your opinion on that?
I mean, sometimes I would like to think about just exploring anything else, like just for myself. Because I started working when I was 17 at Gulf Intelligence, turning into 18. So it was a full-time, it was an internship, and then it prolonged into a full-time job. And the only days I have off is like the Saturdays and Sundays. And I really want now to like just focus on my mental health, because I was like focused on the job, because when you're starting, like you're very focused and you want to do well, because you're the youngest one out of all of them, and you want them to see like the spark in you. But like if that spark like goes like really really high, you get burnt out. So that's why I really want now is to just leave my corporate work at work and then just do my stuff in my time. That's basically that's
Yeah. I think we were trying to say like you need to have a balance, you know, like you were saying, you made a good point about mental health, you know, in terms of you could bring that towards us, you know, there's that pressure to get ahead, but at the same time, like we were saying, we have to live our life, and you know, those experiences can also be as effective as, you know, getting an internship and etc. So thank you for the first kind of answers and opinions. And so like I want to move on to this, you know, kind of timeline that, you know, by 25 I want to be doing this, by 30 I have to have this and this and this, you know, finished. But it begs the question, why? And you know, like Tala, I want to ask you, where do you think, first of all, this pressure to have your life together by 25 or 30 even comes from? Does it come from family? Does it come from society? Does it come from online, that kind of stigma? Like, where do you think that, you know, pressure comes from, that timeline?
I think it's from everything, like family based, especially because like our parents, we see them all in like, or at least for the most part in like jobs and stuff. So obviously we admire to have that. But also a lot of it is from like social media, like Instagram, TikTok, where we see people literally our age having like amazing jobs or even starting their own businesses. So there's always like that pressure on us. It's like, oh, we need to do that.
Yeah.
So I think that's like a lot of it where it comes from.
And Leen, what do you think?
I agree with Tala a lot on the point where there's a lot of like comparison almost. Like I feel like I need to be as good as that person or be as good as my other friends or just like meet the standards that like society expects and has and like has in place for people like our age. But I also do feel like Tala said, social media is such a big factor. I see people like changing their lives and telling their stories as well, like talking about how later in their life they've changed their whole path, and like we're never really set in stone. And I think that's always something that I need to like remind myself, like I shouldn't be putting that pressure on myself, because like nothing is gonna stay the same. Things can always change, and there's no one path.
Yeah.
I have something to
Go
add.
ahead.
Also, like, as you were saying, like all the people on social media and stuff, they're even like influencers who are not necessarily in like traditional like business and stuff, but you can all see like them like find like different paths for themselves that's like super like niche and different, but like also is like I don't know how to explain it, but something that they found what they like to do.
It's like individual and like freelancing, or you know, they're making their own business, or they're working by themselves, you know.
Exactly.
And so Nichole, I wanna ask you about, you know, that timeline, 25 this, 30 this, like what is your opinion on it? Do you think that maybe that's a good thing, or you know, people should do what they want and there's no timeline?
I have a timeline for myself actually.
Okay. Yeah.
And I want to have like a good career at the age of 25 and then like start a family on the age of 30. But in the back of my brain, I want that. But like in reality, that's not gonna happen. Like it's not gonna happen because like career-wise, 25 years, I mean, it could work, but it's still, we can see like a lot of successful people start being successful on their 40s. So I swear, I think they were also thinking they're gonna be successful in their 20s. But like the 20s right now is just like having fun experiences, and then we can start talking about the timeline and priorities that we need to do. So I mean, that's but I still want the timeline.
I mean, I feel like in the back of all of our minds, we're, oh no, we have to, you know, we need to have a good career, like you said, by 25. And I want to bring your point about, you know, marriage by 30 into our kind of last segment of the podcast, and that kind of pressure to, you know, find our partner, settle down, have a family, you know, in this, you know, decade that we're moving into. So I wanted to ask Nichole, actually start with you. You know, what are your thoughts on this idea of finding your partner and settling down, having a family? What do you think about that?
That's also in my timeline. I want to get married at the age... No, actually, I want to get married at like 27 and then have babies on the 30th. That's what my timeline is. But right now in this economy, I don't think that's gonna work. But like, there's this comforting feeling that I have this timeline for myself. Like, oh, I can do this. But in the back of your brain too, it's like, oh my God, it's coming. Like the age is coming to that point, and I still don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So you have to keep that balance in between of like that you want this to happen, but you have to make sure like if it doesn't happen, then it's fine. Like you shouldn't like overwork yourself to fit in your timeline, because like nobody fits in their timeline. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, Leen, I want to bring, the idea that, in our generation, I feel like Gen Z people are, taking different paths. Some people don't like the idea of marriage, and they think that, you should be independent, do your thing. And if, a person comes along, then that's good. But if it doesn't, in a way, maybe your life should not be surrounded by the idea of, have your finances, have your job, have your kids, and then get married and whatever. So what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that what are your thoughts on the idea of it?
For me, I would love to have children and have a family. I feel like my priority when I'm younger is still to like obviously like be able to finance myself as an individual. But like Nichole, I would also love to get married early and have children around 30, but also it does feel so unrealistic, especially like our generation. I feel like so many factors influence it, like social media. Like I feel like I compare it to like my parents and like my parents' friends, and I'm just like how it felt so easy, like hearing their stories, like they would go up to each other and talk to each other. But I feel like our generation is so much harder. I feel like there's so many limitations, and I feel like with social media there's so many options and choices, and it just feels almost limiting, even though it's in a sense less limiting. But I do feel like if you do have the opportunity, you find someone, seize a moment, and if you find a career that you love and something you're passionate about, like also seize that. I feel like that's like very important, especially from coming from someone who doesn't know what they want to do.
Yeah.
I think it would be such a waste if you didn't.
And Tala, what do you think about marriage by 30?
Obviously I'm the same as them. Like I would love to be married and have kids and everything, but right now I don't know how long this is gonna take. And obviously like when looking at like my parents or even my grandparents who are probably married at like our age now, like now it's so different. It's almost like not outdated, but it's like it's so different now in our generation. So like how I was telling you earlier, like once my mom told me, she was like, if you find someone, obviously don't you always have to like be open to ideas and stuff, because you never know like when anything is coming. So I think the idea of like a timeline is very like everyone would love to have it, but it's very unpredictable.
Yeah, I think in terms of the timeline idea, it's in a way, instead of feeling more free, it's kind of like restricting us to have this, idea. Whereas, I mean, in my opinion, whatever life, throws at us, we just, take it day by day, So I think we could conclude that, in your 20s, you don't really know what you're doing in a way. Whether you're working 3 jobs, whether you're in Bali on the beach surfing every day, opening up a business that fails a million times, I think the 20s should be a journey of discovery. And I want to thank you guys for joining today. We've had some very, very interesting conversations, and maybe we can go and reflect on these conversations. And to everyone listening, tell us, what pressure are you facing in your 20s or your 30s or your 40s or wherever age you may be, because everyone feels pressure, all the time. And DM us your 20s panic moments, or share this episode with friends and family. Until next time, goodbye, adios, and ma salama.